Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Church of Caboose, and for today's Destiny 2 video, we're going to be comparing a new sniper from the Trials of Osiris, which was just available with this third week of Trials. It's called the Eye of Soul. We're going to compare it with Revoker. They are both in that kinetic slot, and so it seemed like a good thing to talk about, given there's some, I guess, unique uses for both of these weapons. But before we get too far into it, if you like the video, please like the video and consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a comment down below what you think about these two weapons, what you wish you had, which maybe you like having, rolls, all that good stuff, and just what you think about my thoughts on these two different sniper rifles. And then one last thing, something that kind of just happened in my personal life that I'm super duper excited about. I have a fitness Instagram thing that I do. I'm not saying like I'm a fitness god or anything like that. I'm not Chris Hemsworth. That guy's a beast. But anyways, one of my goals with that has been to have some kind of an ambassador sort of a deal. And I recently was able to get into a deal with Raise Energy. They have their whole like fitness line of like proteins and all that good stuff. And so if you like energy drinks or whatever, just consider checking it out and helping me out and use the promo code 2FIT2QUIT. That's number 2 FIT2QUIT. The twos are all number twos. All right, anyways, little extra shameless plug, I guess, in this video, which for my channel is currently all about shameless plugs. Let's look at our good old weapons and just kind of compare them first by perks, and then we'll do some like side-by-side shots and then finish out with my thoughts. Alright, so let's just do a little side-by-side comparison there. As you can see, the Revoker has a lot more impact, a lot more range, a significantly less stability, less handling. Handling is weapon swapping speed, and then we got a slower reload speed. And so Revoker has a lot more damage and has a lot more range, and so more damage per shot, but a lot less in those other three stats, whereas Eye of Soul is pretty even, as you can see there, throughout the whole stat range. So let's just look at the individual perks for Revoker, and then we're going to look at what I have on my Eye of Soul. It is worth keeping note that Revoker is a set roll. It's a pinnacle, well, really it's a ritual weapon, so your Revoker would be the exact same as my Revoker, other than whatever weapon mod you decide to put on it. And the main thing is mine, Eye of Soul, has snapshot sights, and Revoker comes with snapshot sights, and then it has reversal of fortune. So Revoker, if you miss a shot and you do not take another one within a couple of seconds, you will get that shot back. So in PvP, so you start off with 2 rounds, you miss your first shot, wait a couple of seconds, then you will get it back, and you will still have 2 shots in your magazine, which is a pretty nifty thing to have available. Eye of Soul is not a static roll, meaning you have different rolls. I farmed out Trials of Osiris in order to get one that I ended up liking with snapshot sights and opening shots. As you can see down below, Eye of Soul is an adaptive frame. Revoker is an aggressive frame. Eye of Soul also holds 5 rounds, whereas Revoker only holds 3 unless you do backup mag, then it's 4 or 5. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the point is you don't really get the same number of rounds on Revoker unless you sacrifice something like targeting adjuster for a backup mag. Opening shots really nifty because it increases the accuracy and range on the first shot of an attack, and if you use snipers the way I do in Crucible, almost every shot is the first shot of an attack, and so I really like having opening shot. And that was just a quick look at what Eye of Soul looks like without having like all the other stat numbers and stuff around it. And I'm going to show you real quick on screen with Revoker, and then I'll put up 2 pictures side by side in case that's a little bit easier for you. I'm also going to be taking off the ornament for Revoker, so that way they're both pretty much bare bones. I'm going to put on the same shader as well. So there you go. That's what Revoker looks like, and as you can see right in these pictures that are going to come up right now. Alright, on the top we have the Eye of Soul, on the bottom is Revoker. I wanted to show you guys these pictures of these two weapons side by side because I was really bummed when I found out that the Eye of Soul is not an aggressive frame weapon, and that is the adaptive frame, because look how similar they look. I know the pictures are just one, the Revoker is just slightly smaller picture than the other one. I spent a while trying to get to line up, but I felt like you guys would still have a really good shot at being able to see what I'm talking about. You can see how both weapons have a very same, like almost the exact same looking barrel. We have the same look, the same angle up leading into like where the rounds would be chambered. We have the same kind of a grip down below. We have a very similar looking magazine size and grip. The really only noticeable difference is that the scope on the Eye of Soul is visibly larger than it is on Revoker, which would make sense considering Eye of Soul zooms in a little bit farther and Revoker is a little bit less of a zoom. And so to me, I'm not that surprised that Revoker has a shorter scope on it on the weapon than the Eye of Soul does. So now let's just talk kind of about my opinions of these two weapons, what I like using them, and we're also going to start with how you get to these weapons just really briefly. This is not a quest guide, this is just going to be really briefly what you gotta do to get each weapon. Alright, so let's talk about the Revoker here. The Revoker, you get this weapon by picking up the quest from Lord Shaxx in the tower, and this quest was available during Shadowkeep. I do not know if the quest is there anymore. I've heard some rumors that if you don't get the quest for ritual weapons during the time that they are the current season, then you can't pick them up. So please let me know down below if that is the case for you. My wife has the quest on her, but she might have picked it up during Shadowkeep, and so that's where I'm finding some confusion, and I'm finding conflicting things on the internet, and so that's kind of a question I have for you guys if anyone would feel like letting me know. But what do you have to do for this quest to get Revoker? You have to get a total points in glory of 3,500. Doesn't matter if your comp score overall is 3,500, you just have to earn enough points to total for 3,500. Then you have to have 300 final blows with the sniper rifle and 150 final blows that are precision kills with the sniper rifle. And if you do those two kill things in comp, they go at twice the speed. So instead of getting progress for 1, you get progress for 2 for 1 kill, which is great because then you, in a way, get 4 for 1, because if you get a headshot, you get 2 ticks for precision final blow and 2 ticks for final blow. So comp is a great place to work on getting those sniper rifle kills done. And that is how you get Revoker. Now, what is Revoker fantastic for? It is mostly used in PvP. I myself almost never use it in PvP, mostly because the main appealing part of Revoker is that you get a shots back when you miss. In PvE, the big issue isn't necessarily just missing a shot altogether. It's more missing the precision shot due to all that flinch. And sure, no, people miss eventually, so like you would probably have times where you would get around back. However, when people are using sniper rifles in PvE, the point is usually for mass amounts of boss damage. To look at Garden of Salvation, for example. Izanami's Burden, all of the Season of the Dawn, was the go-to weapon for killing the boss in Garden of Salvation. Whisper of the Worm now is for killing the boss in Garden of Salvation. So the whole point of sniper rifles now in PvE, or at least that endgame stuff, is to have high damage, high total rounds thrown down the range sniper rifles, and Revoker is just not it. You only get 3 rounds, and if you put on a backup mag, you get 4 or 5, and that's not fantastic, especially since it won't outbeat Whisper of the Worm or even Izanami's Still for damage. So most people use good old Revoker in PvP. It is the only weapon that will have a guaranteed drop on snapshot sights. Other sniper rifles like Beloved and Eye of Soul will come with snapshot sights. You just have to farm, or if you get really lucky, maybe your first drop of that weapon will have snapshot sights on it. Revoker, however, you are guaranteed to have snapshot sights, and that is a huge advantage to have if you're trying to snipe. I can't tell you how many times snipe battles I have won or lost due to the time it takes just to look down a scope and get that little dot on someone's head and then delete their ghost. So that's a huge advantage with Revoker. It's a huge impact, really high impact damage sniper rifle, as we looked at earlier. I was finding, especially in power advantaged areas, I have a base power of 1008 on my best character, and I could almost body shot people. So if they had a little bit of damage done to their shield, I could usually one hit kill them anywhere on the body. Didn't have to be the chest, which is a big advantage the Revoker has. To my knowledge, because there's really not many sniper rifles out in the game that do such heavy body damage like Revoker does, which makes it a little bit easier for team shooting. I've in trials seen strategies where people would have one or two of their teammates distract the other team in a battle away from the sniper, and all the sniper had to do was just land a body shot, and they got an easy couple of kills, and that gave easy wins in trials. So that's like the big deal with Revoker, is it's really, really good in PvP. I did not really see it used that much in PvE, and I already kind of talked to you to why. If you want to use a sniper, get Izanami's Burden, or especially now, get Whisper. Just to get the Whisper is broken on the, not the heroic level, but the lower level, and so if you do not have Whisper of the Worm, I would highly suggest you do what you can to get the Whisper of the Worm sniper rifle. Okay, so let's talk about Eye of Soul. What is that used for, and how do you get it? Alright, so let's just talk about the Eye of Soul now. This will be rather short and sweet, because how do you earn the Eye of Soul? Well, you gotta probably hate yourself enough to play Trials long enough to unlock the weapon in wins, and if you are not able to get to 7 wins this week, the weekend, I guess today, is the last day of Trials, and it is March 30th, your next shot would be something like, let's see here, I'm gonna pull up my calendar here real quick so I give you guys the exact date. Who knows, maybe on the next weekend, starting on April 3rd, you might have a shot, because maybe the weapon will be as a reward. So I don't know. How do you keep track of what weapons are in armor, or what rewards for what wins? Well, you can hop on Reddit and ask questions. You can poke around on Twitter, because oftentimes people are complaining about not getting stuff on Twitter to DMG and whoever else. Or you can watch streams and see all Grenadier Jake and Glad and all of them, what they're using, because odds are it's probably a reward. Or you can hop in my Discord server and be like, hey, what are the rewards for this week? And I'll do my best to figure it out and tell you guys for yourselves. So once you've unlocked the Eye of Soul, meaning you've got enough wins where it's dropped for you, it is now a permanent option. It falls into your loot pool. So every week you get 3 wins or more, you can turn in tokens on that character, and every time you get a package, you have a chance for the Eye of Soul to drop. Granted, the more loot you get, the smaller your chance is of that particular piece of loot dropping, just because everything you have unlocked now falls into an option of a loot pool when you turn in tokens. So I guess the more stuff you get, the lower chance you have of having the Eye of Soul drop for those roll grinds. Alright, so that is how you get the Eye of Soul. Now, what is it good for? Okay, I'm going to have to make predictions, because this weapon's brand spanking new. Last weekend of Trials, the second week when we were on Anomaly, only 8% of players got to 3 wins for the Astral Horizon. I know this week surely has to have been higher, because I did not have as hard of a time getting to 3 wins. However, given that this weapon was at 7 wins for this week, and we do not know for sure when this weapon's coming back, I'm going to wager not that many people have this weapon. And so I'm going to have to make some predictions about what the Eye of Soul will mostly be used for, as well as what I'm going to tell you guys what I like using this weapon in so far. Now, obviously, this weapon is going to be used a lot in PvP. And any weapon that comes from something like Trials tends to be heavily used by those Crucible players, because they mostly tend to play Crucible, and why not use that weapon you put a lot of work into getting inside the type of event that you had to put that work in to get it. So, lots of Crucible usage. But I'm also finding this weapon ain't half bad in PvE. I mentioned earlier, Revoker is a terrible option to go with in PvE. In PvE, the Eye of Soul is actually pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. I have a couple of reasons as to why I think the Eye of Soul is doing better than Revoker in PvE. Number 1, the zoom. The zoom on Revoker is really, really short. You basically got a long-range scout rifle. So you have to be pretty close to some of these hard-hitting ads. Typically, when you use sniper rifles, they're most commonly used these days for doing lots of damage to a boss dude. So if you gotta get close to a boss, you're gonna have a lot of flinch, because you might be taking a lot of incoming damage, you might be having the boss stomp, or something of that nature that would make using a sniper rifle up close very difficult to use. I've tried using Revoker and Garden of Salvation, and seeing that crit spot went from being very hard to consistently hit with Whisper to being, oh my gosh, I can barely see it. And Eye of Soul has a little bit farther of a zoom, meaning you can be farther away and still be able to do the same kinds of damage without having as much flinch. I'm also guessing, for reason number 2, that having 5 rounds in a magazine helps a lot when it comes to PvE damage. If you can get out 10 rounds in the same time it takes to get out 6 with the Revoker, or something kind of similar in comparison, like you're just going to flat out do more damage with the Eye of Soul than you would with Revoker. Also, Revoker's main deal in PvE, again, is if you get rewarded, not necessarily rewarded, but you have forgiveness for missing a shot. In PvE, you don't really miss, so you just kind of need to have something that will do decent damage whenever you hit, and doesn't make getting precision shots too difficult, which is why I'm thinking Eye of Soul is, for me, a much better PvE option than the Revoker is. I myself also really enjoy the Eye of Soul and the Crucible, and speaking of which, I will try to have a compilation video out in the next day or two that will have features of both weapons, the Revoker and Eye of Soul, although there'll be more Revoker because I didn't get Eye of Soul until late in my weekend of trials, but there'll be some Eye of Soul in there. And so I hope you guys will enjoy that. So don't forget to ring that bell so that way you guys get notified when I put it in videos. And if you got topics you want me to cover, also let me know. So that kind of concludes it really for the Eye of Soul. I'll just wrap it up for this weapon as an individual that I do really enjoy it. It was a huge moment getting this weapon, and I think it's very viable in both PvP and PvE, depending upon the role, because the role is the last thing we'll talk about. One of the big upsides of Revoker is you know exactly what you're going to get when you work on that quest. You know the perks, you know how it's going to work, because people have done tons of videos on it, whereas Eye of Soul is random rolled. So one person's roll could be way better than someone else's. For example, say, because I'm kind of talking a lot about the good things of Eye of Soul, and I really do enjoy what I have in PvP, someone else could have one of my really crappy rolls that's free fire grip, because of how often you hip fire with a sniper rifle, and celerity, and be like, this weapon absolutely sucks. And then here's me being like, this is great. So you guys gotta keep in mind your rolls and pay attention to the kinds of things you would want. I would imagine for something in PvE, especially if you're wanting something to bring into a raid or something where you gotta do heavy end boss damage, you would want to have something like firmly planted on your Eye of Soul. Whereas if you're doing something and you want more of a PvP geared sniper rifle, you definitely want to have snapshot sights. And then your second tier, you would probably, if you look and know what all the options are, myself, I'm torn between opening shot and Vorpal rounds, because Vorpal rounds would then let me one-shot every single super as long as I get a headshot. Revoker can one-shot some supers, but I think, from what I can find, that Revoker mostly headshots the same supers that really any other sniper rifle headshots, like Golden Gun, for example. And then somehow, whenever I'm running around with my hammer of soul, throwing my hammers around, I can get headshot by everyone else with whatever sniper rifle they're using in one hit and kill me. And then I do it, and it doesn't work for them. And now I'm getting all mad. So we're going to just switch gears back. Okay. Whew. All right, sorry, that should be a whole other thing. Gear that works for other people that I can't use to save my life. Any hoozles. So I just really want to pay attention to your Eye of Soul roll. I do think Snapshot Sights opening shot is a very good roll. My masterwork is stability, which personally I think I'd rather have a range masterwork. But if you think about it, for a PvP roll, every shot to the head will be a one-shot kill, so perhaps having range isn't as crucial as I like to think it is. I just like having range, and maybe that's just more the PvE player in me that's like, hey, let me out, and into the PvP side of things. So I do really like the role I have. So before you get too judgmental, or if you have an asshole, you're like, it sucks, or someone else says it's terrible, I would highly suggest you guys take a look at the roles. Okay, so let's just kind of end the video up with just my overall thoughts with the two of them. It'll be really quick, just basically a summary, and then we'll wrap this video out. Alright, so basically, we're going to just sum this up real quick. If you want only a sniper rifle, just only for PvP, and you don't have to worry about anything else, then go with Revoker. If you want to have some sniper rifle options just to kind of have some fun with, maybe have something with PvE, then you could totally go for Eye of Soul. I do not think Eye of Soul is worth paying for, however, but it's definitely a grind to get and can be a lot of fun. It is also worth keeping in mind that we have a lot of time left with Trials of Osiris, and you never know, it could take a lot less wins in the future future to unlock the Eye of Soul. And so I would just really be watching what the reward requirements are for different weapons, because who knows, maybe Eye of Soul will be available at the 3-win mark in the near future or in the future. You just never know. So again, if you're going to do just a PvP sniper, then Revoker is really all you got to worry about, or hunt down that really good God roll Eye of Soul. And then if you want something to kind of fit the bill and everything, Eye of Soul is definitely better than Revoker. So I guess in conclusion of which one's better, I don't know. Depends on what you want to use it for. If you suck at sniping, then yes, you want Revoker because you get the shot back. That only really applies to PvP. And if you're good at sniping, Eye of Soul can give you some really cool rolls that will let you do things you cannot do with Revoker. And so Eye of Soul would then totally be better, or at the very least, equivalent. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my Instagram and maybe look at that website I have linked in my bio and down below, just because I started a new ambassador thing. So last shameless plug. And don't forget, if you need a fire team or just want to kind of know more people in the game, get into my Discord server, Church and Friends. There's also a link for that down below in that description box. Otherwise guys, I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.